Okay, so what is it about this country that makes people have the absolute inability to compromise with each other? We are on two separate teams for some reason, and we will fight to the death for our own team, whether they're right or wrong. Kind of doesn't matter. You're just like on the team, and so you're all in, or you're not, and then you're an idiot and you're wrong, and everything you think and do is wrong and horrible and terrible. And that's not how to be a country. That's not how to come together and create a working relationship that compromises, like every working relationship in the world that functions. So we have these things that we focus on really strongly as a country and as are a really big deal, and those are guns, abortion, immigration, and climate change. So instead of just fighting back and forth and bouncing things back and forth all the time, maybe we should learn how to compromise with each other. Maybe when it comes to guns, instead of an all or nothing, we come to an agreement. There are definitely some regulations that can be put into place, some laws that can be put into place, maybe some training that's a requirement, just like a car. Maybe there's some ways we can compromise so it's not always this all or nothing situation, because neither side is going to win. It's always going to be bouncing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and it's never going to change unless we decide to come together and make a compromise. So then we move on to abortion, which pro-life, pro-choice. Both sides have very legitimate arguments. So instead of fighting for one or the other, why can't we meet in the middle and maybe have a very strict set term limit? Neither side gets everything they want, but they both get a little of what they want, and we can make a compromise. Okay, so let's move on to the subject of climate change. We all know it's real. We all know it's happening, but there are two sides with fossil fuels. Stick with fossil fuels, worry about it later, or move to renewable resources, renewable energy all the way. Well, okay. Both sides have legitimate arguments. Fossil fuels are very reliable. They're also killing the environment, which will kill us. The planet will probably survive, but only by getting rid of the problem, which is us. So here's that word again. Let's compromise. Let's diminish the uses of fossil fuels while boosting the use of renewable resources to a sustainable level. We don't have to completely get rid of fossil fuels because we have trees and plants and the ocean and all of these things that process carbon, but we will find a whole nother slew of problems, which we don't even know what they are yet, if we went 100% renewable energy. So let's make a compromise and find a sustainable level of sustainable level, try to say that 10 times fast, of fossil fuel usage. Okay. Fossil fuel usage, it's hard to say, and renewable resources. Okay, so then we move on to immigration. Now, there are kind of these two sides of close the border, open the border. I know there's a little bit of in between, but basically close the border, open the border. Okay, both have good points on both sides. So maybe let's come to a compromise. Let's create a reasonable path to citizenship, because from my understanding, what we have right now is not good. It's too hard, which is perpetuating the illegal immigration cycle. So a reasonable path to citizenship. And let's also get rid of illegal immigrants that refuse to use this path to citizenship. There are states that are in the more liberal side that will allow illegal immigrants to not only stay once they've been found, but even commit crimes and be arrested and then be released back into the country. This compromise of a reasonable path to speaking. So this compromise of a reasonable path to citizenship along with removing illegal immigrants that refuse to follow this path to citizenship. That feels like a compromise. So maybe let's focus on compromising with each other and where we can find common ground, because in all reality, we all want to live in a very similar world. We just have very different ideas of how to go about that, but we all want to live in a world where our jobs can support our families, where we feel safe in our homes and our communities and our country, and where we can get a good education for our children. You know, those are the things we ultimately kind of want. And we all want those. So maybe let's work together to build a better country. Maybe let's work together to be the first, to be the leaders in innovation, to be the best. America was built on becoming the best nation and made some really, really giant steps in that, and then kind of decided to stop trying to be the best. We decided to want to stay in the past instead of continuing to innovate and continuing to be at the top of technological advances and at the top of everything. We've kind of decided that we would like to halt. And I genuinely believe that is because we have no ability to compromise, and because we cannot move forward when we're constantly fighting each other instead of deciding, okay, this side thinks this side thinks this, let's meet here. Because here is really where we can move forward. America can be the best. America has the abilities to be the best. We're just choosing not to because we're choosing to fight. So maybe let's try compromise. It's my word of the day, apparently, is compromise. And let's work together instead of against each other all the time. We don't have to fight.